These lessons can make you wealthy and abundant beyond your wildest imaginations if you receive them and not resist them. I heard somebody say one time, the law of the farm reigns supreme in all the universe. A seed is this little bitty thing. You got the ground. You have this little seed. If the seed is here, if this is me, and I've got this seed, okay, I'm gonna put the seed in my hand. I've got a seed in my hand. If I've got a seed in my hand, as long as that seed's in my hand, what does it grow? Nothing. My hand is not fertile ground for the avocado seed or the tomato seed or the orange seed or the apple seed. My hand is not fertile ground. The identity, by the way, if I plant that seed in the ground, once I plant the seed in the ground, let's say I put the seed in the ground. So let's say that I've got an apple seed in my hand and I plant it, but my desire is that I'll grow an orange tree. What does that tell you about me? I'm delusional. And see, what we don't realize is a lot of you, you're planting one seed and hoping for a different harvest. Say, well, how can I tell if I'm doing that? Look at the harvest you're getting. If it's not the harvest you're desiring, sow a different seed. Like, this is so simple and yet so powerful. Now, when I plant the seed in the ground, guess what happens? It has to sprout. It has to sprout, and then it starts growing roots. And guess what's happening? This tree is growing in two directions at the same time. It grows down. We have the root system, right? That's part of the seed knows that it has to go down if it's ever going to go up. And so, like, I'm not going to, just because I don't like the fact that the seed has to go down before it can go up, doesn't mean it's not going to happen, right? So the seed goes down, and then guess what happens? It eventually grows up. Right? It eventually grows up and becomes a tree. The root system is the first part of the tree. This is the shoot system. And then it starts growing some what? Fruit. I wanted oranges, but I got apples. Well, you should have planted a different kind of seed, bruh. Right? This is the fruit system. The fruit system. The root system, the shoot system, and the fruit system are determined by the seed. Are y'all tracking? Oh, by the way, I don't know if you ever noticed this or not, but the root system, this is the be. The shoot system is the do. The fruit system is the have. Be, do, have. We find that same principle in there. How many of y'all tracking? Do you see how beautiful it is that God keeps saying the same things over and over and over again, and maybe one of these days, we might get it. It's like we have our eureka moment, and we act as if the truth came into existence at the time that we realized it. But you notice that the tree is both gravitropic. What's gravitropic mean? Gravitropic means that it grows towards gravity and away from light. This is something the seed intuitively knows. Even if the sower doesn't know it, the seed knows it. The gravitropic nature of the tree is that it grows towards gravity and away from light. The phototropic nature of the tree, bet y'all can guess what that is that it grows towards light and away from gravity. A big part of our problem is we want the have without the do, and we want the do without the be. We want the shoot without the root, and we want the fruit without the shoot. And we want to have phototropic. We want everybody to see us. We want everybody to see us be nothing. Because we want the phototropic part, but we don't want the gravitropic part. And here's the reality. God is showing us on the law of the farm with the seed. If you don't go down, you can't go up. If you're tracking, let me hear you say I'm tracking. Okay, well then I'm going to go on to the next point. The fruit system, or the law of the seed is this. The identity is in the seed. But it's not just the identity that's in the seed. Y'all ready? The possibility is in the seed. Possibility. Isn't that an interesting word? Possibility. Positive ability is in the seed. Like, I don't have to teach the seed how to produce. I just have to plant the seed. The seed has built-in automation to do what only the seed can do. And do you understand that every thought is a seed? Every word is a seed. Every deed is a seed. Every dollar is a seed that I am sowing into the garden of my future. If I don't like the harvest I've been reaping, I must change the seed I've been sowing. Now, you know what we want to do? We're going to say, yeah, but I don't want to change a different kind of seed. I just want a different kind of sun. Maybe we could have a different kind of dirt to plant my seed in. You know, it's not fair that I have to plant a different new seed. I've been planting this seed my whole life. It's the only seed I know how to plant. Isn't that how people sound? This is all I know how to do. I'm a forklift driver. I got 40 years of experience. You don't have 40 years of experience driving a forklift, bro. It don't take that long to learn how to drive one. You have 2 weeks of experience repeated over a 40-year time period, and you're calling it 40 years of experience. And that's not just for forklift drivers. So many of us stay stuck because we say that's all I know how to do, as if there's no opportunity for us to learn something new. Well, the possibilities, the identity is in the seed. The possibility is in the seed. But guess what? That's not all. The law of ability is in the seed. The seed can do what the seed can do. You know what? Here's what's really amazing to me. That the Bible talks so much about farms. The first thing God ever said to a human was, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. That's a farming analogy. That's a horticultural analogy. That's a gardening analogy. Be fruitful. What is that telling us? Well, what it's telling me, and by the way, when God made man, not only did he put him in a garden, but he made the man a gardener. But watch this. He didn't just make the man a gardener. He made the man a garden. So the gardener is also the garden. What do you mean the gardener is also the garden? Well, do you remember that God formed man of the dust of the ground? So the same dirt that God planted the seed in, because it says the Lord planted a garden eastward in Eden. Adam didn't plant the garden. Adam was just supposed to protect the garden. God planted the garden. God planted a garden eastward in Eden. But it also says that the Lord God formed, made man, molded man of the dust of the ground. So I'm made of the same ground that my food grows out of. But then Adam was just a body laying there. There was no spirit in it. We can't really say it was dead because it had never been alive. It just was there. But watch what happens. It says, and the Lord breathed into the man's nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. When God breathed the breath of life into the man, he planted the seed of an aspect of God's own creativity inside of him. And based on the aspect of creativity that God planted inside of the man is supposed to cultivate that creativity. And just like the garden produces fruit, the human life is supposed to produce fruit. And guess what? They all do. Some of us produce fruit that's sweet. Some of us produce fruit that's sour. Some of us produce fruit that's rotten. But we all produce fruit. If we don't like the fruit, change the root. Don't paint the fruit. You're not going to paint an apple orange and turn it into an orange. Can I get a witness? Amen. And so we have to understand that the ability of the seed is in the seed. And God planted an aspect of his creativity inside of me, which means that just like the seed had to go down in the ground where nobody could see it, where nobody was clapping for it, it wasn't getting applause, nobody was cheering it on, it wasn't getting any accolades. In order for me to do something that's worth seeing in the light, I have to be willing to spend enough time in the damp, dark, difficult earth so that I can become something that only the dirt can make me. Only the difficulty can make me. And then when I push up and I start shooting, oh man, I start shooting up, I reach, and all of a sudden the fruit starts, oh man, this is turning into something. Well, I declare, who knew? God knew. And he's told us enough times that we probably should know by now. So the ability of the fruit the law of ability is also in the seed, but also the law of generosity is in the seed. What does that mean? This tree doesn't get to benefit from this fruit. The fruit is for someone other than the tree. Guess what? That means that what God put in you to create, he put it in you to create by you, but not for you. All the profit that you're looking for, all of the wealth and success you're looking for is on the other side of serving someone other than yourself. Who knew all this? We could learn it from the farm. Man, I thought you only worked on the farm for one day. I did, but I was pulling sorghum. Wasn't planting anything. This was not fun. Okay. This kind of farming? Oh, this is fun. Okay. So we see the law of the seasons. That's the framework. We see the law of the seed. That's the foundation. And then we see the law of sowing. That's the farmer. That addresses you and I as the farmers. It is our job. We are a farmer. We are the gardener of our lives. It is our job to be constantly and perpetually planting, cultivating, keeping, protecting the garden that is us. Now, here's the interesting thing about the law of the farmer. The law of sowing and the farmer. You reap what you sow. So if you don't like the harvest you're getting, change the seed you're sowing. People want to sow laziness and reap abundance. It doesn't work. People want to sow blame and reap a bounty. It doesn't work. Like, all of us have, I've not met a person who hasn't had something done to them that was evil. Like, people don't always do good stuff. Okay, you've been mistreated. I'm not minimizing that. But if you turn that into your story, you missed the point. You've had a hard life. I get it. You've had a hard life because you were put here on this planet to help people with hard lives. I get it. You've gone through some stuff. I know the reason you went through some stuff is so you'd know the way through, so you could help some other people through that same stuff. I'm not minimizing the fact that your life has been hard. I get it. But your hard life was not an accident. It was a part of the design of your purpose. And until you embrace the burden, like you embrace the blessing, you won't receive all of the blessing from the burden you've received. You reap what you sow. But guess what? You don't reap when you sow, you reap later than you sow. So guess what that means? Keep on sowing. I love it. Don't stop sowing. Don't stop sowing into the garden that is you. Don't stop learning. Don't stop growing. Don't stop figuring things out. Don't stop asking questions. Don't stop being interested. Don't stop being curious. Because you reap what you sow, but you reap later than you sow. That's the tough news. You reap later than you. The good news is you reap what you sow. The tough news is you reap later than you sow. But you want to know what the great news is? If you're ready for the great news, let me hear you say I'm ready. Ready. Okay. You reap more than you sow. Isn't that exciting? You reap more than you sow a seed and reap a tree. Shut up. Plant this little bitty thing in the ground, and this big old thing comes up out of the ground eventually. And see, a part of our problem is we want to rush eventually. But here, I've got news for you. Eventually don't get in a hurry. It only shows up just in time. You reap later than you sow, but you reap more than you sow. I know y'all have heard me say it 1.5 quadrillion times, 11 million times. Any fool, this is a Warren Wiersbe quote, this is not an original Myron Golden quote, but I love it so much. Any fool can count the number of seeds in an apple, but only God can count the number of apples in a seed. What if every time you looked at your seed, you said, God, thank you for the harvest that this seed will produce? Because you realized that it reaps more than you sow. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. It's so good. I'll be honest with you, there are aspects of my life that I hated when I was a child. I'm glad I didn't just get through them, and I'm glad I didn't just get past them. I'm glad I got from them exactly what God desired for me to get from them. As a child, I hated the hardship of our lives. As an adult, I can see how every single solitary aspect of that hardship was absolutely essential for me to step into my purpose. But not only do you reap what you sow, and you reap later than you sow, and you reap more than you sow, you risk when you sow. And that's why some people don't sow. Because when you got it in your hand, at least you have the illusion of control. Can I get a witness? You have the illusion of, but I have the seed. It's just an illusion. Your ability to control that seed at all while it's in your hand is delusional. If you do not plant it in the ground, it remains a seed. And which means you have to plant it. And when you plant it, now it's under the ground. You can't see it. You can't tell if it's sprouting. You can't tell if it's germinating. You can't tell if it's sucking in the nutrients it needs. It's completely out of your control. Do you understand that it is your job to do your part? And it's also your job to trust God to do his part. Because you can't do his part and he won't do your part. And so many people are walking around praying every morning for God to do the thing he sent them here to do, while at the same time attempting to do the thing that only he can do. Flip the script. Get back to square one, baby. The law of sowing is the farmer. And then lastly, we have the law of sacrifice. This is fundamental to everything in life. This is the fundamental. What's that? The law of sacrifice. What is it? The law of release. If you hold on, you can't receive. You've got to let go of. Some people are holding on to the seed of potential and they won't release it because they're too afraid of what people will think of them if they plant it and it grows nothing. The law of the release. Now, when you release the seed, you are not released from your responsibility to the seed. What does that mean? Once the farmer, the gardener, plants the seed, you still have work to do. It's just not planting work. It's watering work. You have to saturate the soil that the seed is in because the seed needs water. It's weed pulling work. Now, I've always been fascinated by this. Food has to be planted. Weeds don't have to be planted. Nobody has to plant the weeds. What's up with that? Can we just have it the other way around so the food just grows and then we got to plant the weed? No. You don't have to plant weeds. Weeds grow because food is there. And weeds are parasites. I showed a friend my garden. I said, well, I planted this and I planted that and I planted this and I planted that and now look what it's grown into. And the man said, yeah, this is an amazing garden you and God planted. He said, yeah, but you should have seen it when God had it all by himself. What does that mean? You have a responsibility. God's not going to do the whole thing for you. God will put you in the place where the potential exists. He will give you access to the seed, but you must still plant it. The law of release, the law of responsibility, the law of reproductivity. Everything reproduces after its own kind. You choose the type of harvest when you choose the seed. When you choose the seed. When you pick what seed you're going to plant, you picked what harvest you're going to be able to reap in the fall. Some of you chose a seed that produced something you don't like a long time ago, and now it's harvest time, and you're like, but I don't want this harvest. Well, plant a new seed. Because you planted it. We don't want, see, it's easier for me to blame the government. It's easier for me to blame my parents. Everything reproduces after its own kind. That's the law of reproductivity. And the law of reward. Your results are your reward. Whether they're desirable results or undesirable results, they are the rewards you get for the seed that you've sown. So I'll say it one last time. If you don't like the fruit, change the root. How do I do that? Plant a different seed in the Bible. I hope this helps you. Go apply these principles to your business and watch what happens. And I'll look forward to seeing you in summertime. Bye for now.